I went to graduate school because I wanted to become a shrink. I imagined that I'd have an office that was quite elegant, and there'd be a couch and my name on a shingle on the door. And people would come in, lie down on the couch, and just as I had seen in movies, they would free associate, talk about their childhood, their love quandaries, and I'd formulate insightful interpretations that would lead to epiphanies and change their lives. And I was finishing the last step towards this goal. I was in Silicon Valley doing my postdoc and getting licensed, and I had a change of heart. I looked around and noticed that the world was changing, from dating to shopping to the way people found jobs. Everything had changed and was continuing to change in pretty exciting ways that afforded a flexibility and opportunities. In my own field, psychology was, by contrast, very stagnant, stuck in a 19th century paradigm. I got excited about how therapy could similarly open up, how the benefits could be extended from very few to massive numbers of people. At the core of therapy is a close emotional bond. It's due to that feelings are transferred onto the therapist, those are analyzed, worked through in ways that lead to insight, and more importantly, the ability to change the way we relate to other people. It's been thought by most people throughout most of time that bond, for that to grow and to be safe, needs to be apart from daily life, apart from your other relationships. And as I thought about how to bring that into daily life, I thought about a different trusted relationship, the one we have with our phones. So I worked with engineers, designers at Intel, and worked on something that was sort of like having a psychoanalyst in your pocket. It was a mood phone. We called it the mood phone, and let's see here. That was the big idea, that we would encapsulate that expertise of the therapist and that bond in the phone that people already trust so much. And this device would linked with sensors and a wireless ECG to detect changes in heart rate variability, so it knew when you were stressed, clued you into those signs, cultivated emotional self-awareness by having people mood map throughout the day, do simple things like breathing, and then ask people to reinterpret, to question their interpretations of things in a process called cognitive reappraisal. We had many people use this for about a month at a time, and they were really hungry for solutions that they could apply in daily life to help with relationships at work, relationships with spouses, with kids, and they made use of this in very creative ways. One man who used it for quite a long time, I'll call him Alex, noticed through mood mapping that his moods dropped dramatically at the end of every day and stayed that way. This was when he'd rush home from work, his wife would rush out, the dogs, the kids needed him, and he realized by seeing this pattern, it sort of impressed upon him, he could handle this differently. So he did an experiment. He started timing the prompts on the phone during this transition from home to work. And this helped him quite a lot. He started viewing it as a challenge rather than seeing himself as a victim of this unchangeable situation. And he started feeling better about his marriage, too. At the end of the study, I expected everyone to bring up serious questions about privacy. We had spent about a year getting this through the Privacy Review Board. And this was really not an issue. What he asked was something very different. He said, if my wife had a mood phone too, and our two phones could talk to each other, that would be good. Because then we could just start to have all these conversations that we can't get near now without a big argument. And there were so many variants on this question. People wanted to share what I thought they would be most private and most stigmatizing. They wanted, above all else, they wanted connectedness. So this really opened up my thinking. I realized that the magic would not be encapsulating one trusted relationship with an expert into one trusted relationship with a device. Instead, the device should be a trusted portal, one that cultivates safe bonds with other people, that enables that kind of sharing and growth. So we stepped back thinking about connectedness in that study, and certainly since Instagram, people were sharing emotions by sharing pictures. So in a project with the Immersive Computing Lab at Intel, we looked at this in a more extreme way at events with the Creators Projects. These were large art, music, technology festivals around the world. We took the Instagram pictures that people had captured on their phones, and these were people who were attending these events. Those were projected onto a wall. So this was an effort to make social media more social. And we added an emotional layer. So you can see each picture has a color around it, and they also had sounds. And those reflected either sentiment analysis of captions or an interface that allowed people to say, this is how this picture makes me feel. And we found that this did work in ways that we expected. It got the conversation beyond like. People talked about their feelings with friends, their spouses, with strangers. But then there were unexpected ways that people connected, and these were really cool. This guy from Paris did something that many people did there, literally using himself as a social screen, projecting images onto himself, having someone take a picture of him, uploading that picture onto this wall, marking himself as connected. Even more striking to me was the way that people in this very social setting worked through complex emotions. In Sao Paulo, a different event, a woman uploaded this picture of a skeleton. She writes on it, "Death miserable." She's describing a recent breakup. Because of the caption, our system classifies it as sad. But she thinks about it, she talks about it. I'm doing like an impromptu interview with her, and she walks up and says, "No, I'm excited," using the interface. She conveys to the people around her, to her followers online, that she's experienced loss authentically, but she's not drowning in it. She conveys her emotional trajectory in a pretty rich way. So through these kinds of experiments, we're learning how people want to connect and how technology can promote well-being. We're very interested in how people can get advice on the spot, not just from professionals, but from friends, from their network, and from the crowd. You can imagine someone like Alex. He'd never go to therapy, but he might reach out for coping strategies from his peers. Maybe it's a song he can instantly listen to while driving home. We're at this moment where we can enable all kinds of sharing by bringing together very intimate technologies like sensors with massive ones like the cloud. And as we do this, we'll rethink what the trusted alliance is, we'll witness new kinds of breakthrough moments, and bring our thinking and all of our approaches about emotional well-being into the 21st century. Thanks.